Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, germs and viri, this is your bearded wolf god Lobo speaking. We're going to talk about a few things this morning. Quick, I got some shit to do, but I figured I'd record this for you and post it real quick. First off, Stellar Blade. You remember Stellar Blade? It was in the news because the diversity and inclusivity crowd, you know, the ones that seem to hate straight white men like myself, were crying outrage, saying that basically they said that there was no way that the main character in this one, Eve, was actually based on a real woman. And then, of course, the developers showed the footage of said woman in the full bodysuit with the points they use for tracking, for doing the body and screen and movement capture for the game, is in fact built just that way and just that beautiful. Is in fact the character. Anyway. Now that was pretty much all cinematics. I have seen gameplay footage. They did an hour's worth of demo gameplay footage that was released. And what I find ironic is the person that was playing the game, at a certain point you get told, scan to look for hidden enemies. Now, I don't know whether scan is only available at certain points in the game, but I found it ironic when they waltzed into a fight and got blindsided by an enemy because they didn't scan before they walked through the door. Because they saw shiny shit, loot. Now, being a loot goblin, I cannot entirely fault them on this, because I see shiny shit and I go running, even in Helldivers, which does kind of get me in trouble sometimes. But hey, killing bugs and automatons is fun. So, but I just found it amusing that they forgot to scan even though before walking in the door and got blindsided. This is PS5 only, which means it'll probably be a year or two before it's ported over to PC. Shame, since I am a PC player. I gave up on the console wars a long time ago because it just started to irritate me. For the record, I stopped playing the console wars during the PS2 generation. I bought the PS2 and played PS2 games and then never bought another PlayStation again. I need to do a retrospective on some of the old PlayStation games that I would not mind seeing not necessarily completely redone, but upgraded. What do they call it? Remastered and released on PC because they were just that much fun. But that's another video. Okay, then. Now we're going to talk about another farce, if you will. Dragon's Dogma 2. A $70 single-player AAA title. Released by one of the biggest publishers in the game, Capcom. They have faced some backlash from the gaming community. Now, one of the things that they have faced backlash for is it requires this down here. Third-party DRM, de novo anti-tamper software, anti-cheat software. Now look, I can get the anti-tamper, anti-cheat software if you're playing an MMO to try and prevent bots, which generally fails miserably. I know that Lost Ark, a game I enjoyed thoroughly for a couple hundred hours, and still only got halfway through because I had 8 characters in 2 different servers. But I digress. Had anti-cheat software and still had tons and tons of bots. I think in my channel somewhere I've got a screen clip of me playing the game and me sitting at one of the dungeon statues, launch statues. And there's like 20 or 30 or more bots just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So clearly, the anti-tamper software, anti-cheat software, is not worth it. I don't know. Maybe they've gotten better controller of it. But I know I walked away from Lost Ark for mainly that reason. Because I got fed up with being surrounded by bots. And plus, people who were supposed to be playing with me, well, let's just say I bounced from clan to clan because the first clan I joined, nobody was on during the day. It was only me running during the day. And the others, if they played at all, played late at night. Or in the wee hours of the morning. And there were 2 or 3 others I went went one from the other to the other. From that, I swear to God, I was the only one keeping the damn doors open because none of the other players had been on for forever. Most of them. So, I walked away from Lost Ark, but that has nothing, but that's neither here nor there. Because of that and the bots. The bots infuriated me. And it wasn't just the bots, it was the sheer fucking number of them. Another thing that people are having an issue with is the optimization for the game. Because it's clearly we're on my Steam account here. So it's not running at higher frame rates like it should apparently. Can neither confirm or deny because I refuse to pay for it. And lastly, it was out a fucking day. And all of a sudden, DLC. Now I'm assuming rift crystals are like some of the crystals in Lost Ark, and that you use it to buy premium shit with, cash shop shit with. Hence why they cost actual real money. This Explorer's Camping Kit, which according to one guy I watched is the camping gear stuff is a weight issue because apparently you constantly have to monitor your weight in this game, what you're carrying, which is fine. This one is apparently a pound lighter and a little more durable, supposedly, than the light camping gear kit you can get in the game for free. Lure item for harpies. If it's not available for free in the game, why not? This is something that should be standard in the game. Thoughtful gift, I'm guessing, is kind of like NPC gift giving. Don't know, don't care. Pawn inclinations. Escape from the jail. Again, this is something that should be available in the game. If it's not, why not? Character editor. This is the one that really pisses people off, apparently. And if I played it, would piss me off royally. If you want to edit your character in any way, shape, or form after you have already created it, you have to pay $2 to do the editing. Yeah, no. Go fuck yourself, Capcom. Warp location monitor, port crystals. Now, from what I hear, this has to do with the number of teleport locations you can have. One of the things I have garnered from some of the videos is that you only have like 10 points available in the beginning. Don't know if you can expand upon that later in the game, but you can also pay for them. Actual money. $3 per. And then there's the Wake Stone. Resurrection Stone. Again, if this is not available in the game for free in-game currency, why not? I mean, seriously, Capcom? I mean, I never played the first one and have no one paid attention to playing this one, but this is just stupid. And it just goes to, frankly, state of the game. State of why am I still hearing shit? Oh, that's why. I apologize for the background drone of voices in the background in this video. I forgot I had a video. I forgot I had something going in one of my other browsers. See, all this points to state of game development to me. Meaning this. You either get game developers that are making you pay full price for a game, and then dropping a bunch of DLC to make you spend more money for shit that should already be in the game, mind you. And here I'm looking at you, Fat Shark. Or they are developing games and releasing them too soon. Buggy as fuck. They're essentially making you pay for the privilege of being a beta tester. I would point something out to you. Hold that thought. Because I took this down off my wall last night in a moment of nostalgia. This is totally unreal. It contains Unreal Tournament Game of the Year Edition, Unreal Gold, and sneak peeks at Unreal 2. Now, Unreal is one of the OGs of the FPS genre. And next to Doom, my all-time favorite, with Quake coming in a very far third. But Unreal was unique from the other two in that it had online servers, the tournament portion of it. What made it even more unique was that it had several different types of servers for different styles of gameplay. If you wanted to be limited in movement and stalk somebody with a sniper rifle, you had to slow walk or crawl between hide positions to hunt the enemy, other players, and get penalized if you move too often or too fast. There was a server for that. If you wanted to play with a sniper and hunt other players and be able to move either running briefly around the map or using the teleport pistol, which shoots a disc and you teleport to it, there was a server for that. If you wanted a Royal Rumble style with any type of weapon you chose to carry against multiple players, there was a server for that. If you wanted, or a type of server for that, I should say. If you wanted to just hunt people with the rocket launcher in a Royal Rumble style, there was servers just for that. Which made Unreal Tournament unique back in its day. I spent so many hours playing that game. And always on the sniper servers. I loved the sniper servers. I tended to go the rifle with the being able to run around a little bit, or use the teleport gun to get to hard to reach places or get there faster. servers. And the games, whether you were playing on the servers or playing the base game with the discs that you downloaded from the discs, all had one thing in common. They ran without issue. You got a full bugless game because the developers took the time to find it all. Hell, the servers were probably, by the time I quit playing or had to stop playing because I played at my cousin's house because he had a better computer and a better connection. Here at the house, because my computer at the time was really shitty, I just played the game itself, the base game itself. But I always went over to my cousin's and spent hours and days over at his place playing it on his PC because his was better. By the time I stopped playing, because I wasn't going over there really anymore much, I would say probably 75% of the maps that were in the game were player created. Really interesting ones, too. Some of my favorites were the ones where you're essentially running around miniaturized in a room in a house. Take your average bathroom. You could snipe somebody from the medicine cabinets because the medicine cabinets either had a section on the shelving where there was a hole cut in the glass that you could shoot through, or the doors were cracked and you could shoot through the opening, the cracked open door. You could use the toilet to escape. If somebody's shooting, you jump off the seat into the bowl and then swim down the bowl into the pipe, which, as I recall, teleported you under the sink, in the cabinet under the sink, which is also what happened with the sink. There were several platforms under the sink to run around with, and things to hide behind, common household items. In a bathroom, even on the counters there was stuff to hide behind. The toothbrush cup holder thing, soap. There was the old cup dispensers they used to mount on bathroom walls for, although not in homes as much as they did in like doctors' offices where they had paper cups and dispensers on the wall. Although my old house in real life had it. The main bathroom had it. When I was growing up. And yep, my parents kept it filled because it saved cups. Wasted paper because there were paper cups, but hey, whatever. No judgment there. And all that ran flawlessly without issues. The only issues that were ever in those servers were toxic players. And you ran into them. And generally what happened back in those days, say on the sniper servers I spent 98% of my time on, was that if somebody was being a toxic dick, the entirety of the rest of the team on that, but the rest of the PvP players on that map, although technically, because it was you against everybody else on the map. and you could choose the number of players that were allowed in the server. Most of the time, people who went to those set them for like 8 to 10. Is everybody else on that map would start hunting the toxic player and taking him out time after time after time. They respawn, they die. They respawn, they die. They respawn, they die. Because everybody was hunting them for being an asshole. And then they'd storm off, pissed off, and never come back. Until you ran into them again some other day. And that was the way toxic players were dealt with. Back in my day. As a matter of fact, one of my favorite stories, and I'll tell you this, another digression from Unreal Tournament, was ran into a toxic player one day, and I was playing. And my young nephew at the time was sitting on my knee watching me play. He was about 4, because he was fascinated by video games. So he would watch me and his dad play. And so there was this toxic player. And I lined up on the guy. And because my nephew wanted to play, I wouldn't let him play, but every once in a while I'd let him either move or shoot. I let him pull the trigger on that one. And then I typed in chat, "Congratulations, you just got pawned by a toddler." Oh, he was pissed. Started cussing me out, and everybody started laughing, and then he left. But again, the games ran flawlessly. Nowadays, we get, like I said, games that shouldn't be released, and I'm looking at Fat Shark for that one, for Dark Tide, because it was really when it was released, it never should have gotten released when it did, full released. It should have stayed in beta for at least another 6 months because there were a ton of issues. Now, I didn't pay for it. I got that game as a gift on release day. So I stuck it out, and I'm glad I stuck it out. I love that game. Still. Got over 1,200 hours in it. And I do most of my daily dose videos on this channel are Dark Tide runs. Although I've started throwing some Helldiver runs in there. But it was buggy as fuck. It had major bugs and it had minor bugs. And it should have stayed in development in beta for at least probably about another 6 months. And there was stuff that they promised that was going to be in the game upon full release that wasn't. Or that was supposed to be working. Like the craft shop for crafting, for upgrading your weapons. Hadrons. Changing blessings and perks. And people still have their issues with the way that thing runs. But that's neither here nor there. Yet, upon game day launch, they had the cash shop open. No problem. Much like Dragon's Dogma and Capcom. So you could buy cosmetics that accomplish nothing. It's not pay to play. 4-player co-op. The cosmetics still have any perks or blessings to them. It's just looks. But they had that. But they didn't have the crafting shop working yet. Which pissed a lot of players off. Then we can look at CD Projekt Red and Cyberpunk 2077, another textbook example of a game that should not have been released until the bugs were fixed. That game was in development for 10 years. 10 years. Now, part of CG Project's Red's problem was the 3060 came out and they decided, oh shit, we want to take advantage of the ray tracing and shit. So they delayed the release 6 months or a year, pushed it back, and started tinkering with the coding to take advantage of all that shit, which fucked the game up to it fairly well, because it came out with bugs galore. And it took him months to fix it. Now, a lot of people will use the excuse as far as why games were released that way was, well, the players want to play it and they're pissing and moaning that they want it now. True. There is a lot of pissing and moaning. You will find some pissing and moaning from player bases. We want our game now. Gimme, 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 gimme. But which do you think they're going to be happier with? Getting the game now with a ton of problems and bugs that they're paying for the privilege to find for you, or a fully complete game? Delayed gratification with a fully complete bug-free game, maybe minus 2 or 3 minor bugs, not game crashing ones. Not ones that leave you stuck in a position you can't get out of because you've melded into a wall or running around a corner or some shit. And unfortunately, this is the state of game development today. The rush to put out a game that ends up being as buggy as hell, instead of delaying it and finding and fixing everything that's still wrong with it. Or at least 99% of it. Like I said, at this point in the way development is, I'll put up with minor bugs. Like I said, non-game crashing ones. As long as the rest of the game runs flawlessly. I'll bitch about them, but I'll put up with them. I mean, and then there are the ones, another interesting thing that happens in co-op and MMOs specifically is that the developers or the publishers or both will have made the game and released it and not have allotted or bought enough server space to run the game for the amount of players that are trying to play it. Now, I can understand this to a certain extent. Nobody expects their game to go nuts out of the gate like what happened with Pal World. Pal World went crazy. They had crazy server issues. Difference between Pal World and most others is Pal World said, oh no, this game needs to fucking stay up. So they shelled out money and bought more server space. Bought more servers. So people weren't waiting forever to fucking queue up and be able to play the game. I'm not entirely sure whether Arrowhead has done that or not. Probably so at this point. But I know in the beginning, Helldivers 2 had that issue. Especially upon, I think it was release weekend. And, like, again, Helldivers was one somebody bought for me. They gifted it to me because they wanted me to play with them. And I love that. You know, if it's one of the other communities besides my own, my friends in them still wanted me to play that game with them. So they bought it for me. In part, they figured I'd enjoy it because... And then the other part of it was they figured I'd enjoy the hell out of it, which I do, because I play Darktide. So they bought it for me, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. But that weekend, it was almost impossible to get in. Because fucking everybody was buying it up, and the developer did not... And then the developer, Arrowhead, that weekend made it so you got a 50% XP and resources boost for the weekend on your missions. And fucking almost nobody could get in. Or if you got in, you waited for a good long while. Now, I suspect by now they've bought more server space, which is why it's not an issue anymore, or player base has fallen off a little bit. But yeah, this is the state of game development today, and it's a sad thing. I mean, you still get games that are released without any issues. I mean, Baldur's Gate, from everything I saw, Baldur's Gate 3, even though I didn't get it, because I had no interest in playing it, but I knew a bunch of people that did play it, released without issues, pretty much. Outside of, again, not enough server space, as I recall, in the beginning. So to recap this video, here at the end, we don't need fucking any cheat software on goddamn single-player games. Fuck you, Capcom. Although it's become common, I think, on a lot of release titles. Developers need to be more consistent in finding all the bugs before they release their games and do patches that create even more bugs. And that's something that happened a lot and that's actually something that happened with Fat Shark and Darktide. They'd release a patch that fixed some bugs and it would create new ones. It was a vicious, never-ending cycle there for a short bit, for a little while. I get it, Fat Shark is a smaller studio and publisher, but still. Stop making people play for shit that should already be in the game for the free in-game currency that you earn in the game for playing. I get it. You want those whales to shell out that money so you can make extra profit. But you just end up pissing off the player bases. I mean, doing that with free-to-play games is one thing. Doing it with games you're paying full price for, and then having to pay for other shit that should be in the game already, is a bit annoying. And in the case of games you're paying full price for, stop making players pay to be your damn beta testers. Pay your fucking beta testers and find your bugs before you release the game. And release a game without issue. Or at least not many. Okay, I've rambled on for 40 fucking minutes. I'm going to end it here and upload this. This is your bearded wolf god Lobo, signing off.